This is Nuka. He is the skinny son of Zira and Scar. He was always in the background, always complaining, never taken seriously. Most people remember him as comic relief. But when you look closer, his story is one of the most tragic in the entire franchise. Because Nuka's pain didn't just start when Kovu was born. It started the moment he came into this world. To understand why, we need to go back to when Nuka's tragic story began, Scar's reign. After Scar became king, he expected everything to fall into place. But the lionesses never really respected him and stayed loyal to Mufasa's memory. And Scar had another problem. He had no heir. Without one, his legacy would die with him, and he knew his time was running out. That's where Zira comes in. She was different from the others. She admired him. Scar saw this as his chance, and not long after, Nuka came along. But when Scar first saw Nuka, he was immediately disappointed. Nuka wasn't the strong, powerful cub he had hoped for. In his eyes, Nuka wasn't worthy of continuing Scar's legacy. Now, we don't know 100% that Scar was his biological father. If you want me to go over theories about his parents, let me know in the comments. But if Scar was his biological father, it means he looked at his own firstborn son and decided he wasn't good enough. And Nuka was raised in a way that he slowly started to believe that exact thing. But instead of giving up, he tried harder. He started copying Scar's behavior, the sneering, the way he carried himself, trying to sound confident and intimidating. He wanted to be just like his father, but nobody took him seriously. And Zira was always too focused on Scar to notice how hard Nuka was trying. Then Vitani was born. And Nuka hoped maybe things would be different. At least he would have someone to play with and wouldn't feel so lonely and overlooked. But Zira looked at Vitani and saw something she never saw in Nuka: potential. She began training her immediately. Although Vitani was younger than Nuka, she was fierce and sharp. She never questioned anything and never complained like Nuka did. And Zira appreciated her for that. So Nuka was pushed even further aside. But then things got even worse because Kovu came along, and now Nuka became completely invisible. Scar chose Kovu as his heir, not Nuka, and that was it. Shortly after, Scar was overthrown and died. The lion Nuka had spent his whole life trying to impress was gone. Zira told them all that Simba was a murderer who stole the throne. She said Scar wanted Kovu to be king, and that is what was going to happen. So instead of grieving, Nuka was put to work, helping Kovu, helping a mission he himself would never be part of. He and Vitani were the ones who set the fire during Kiara's first hunt, the fire that would allow Kovu to save her and get close to Simba. Not a heroic role, just a puppet to get the plan moving. But then came the ambush on Simba, and for the first time in his life, Nuka saw a real chance. Kovu had failed to act, and Simba was right there. Nuka thought, if I finish this, if I'm the one who does it, maybe Mother will finally love me. He chased Simba up a pile of logs, not caring how unstable they were. For the first time, he felt like he was winning. And then the logs shifted. They came crashing down on him, one after another, and he couldn't get out. When they finally pulled the logs away, he was dying. The sad thing is that Nuka didn't need to do that. It was Kovu's task to kill Simba, and after he failed, all the lionesses, along with Zira, were too afraid to run after Simba onto those logs. But Nuka was so desperate that he ran straight into danger, and that cost him his life. And even then, in his last moments, his only thought was her. He looked up at Zira and said,
"I'm sorry, Mother. I tried."
There is also a deleted part of this scene where his last words are,
"Well, I finally got your attention, didn't I?"
Disney decided it was too heavy for a children's movie, but that line describes his entire life in one sentence. The only thing he ever strived for was his mother's attention and love, and the only time he finally got a tiny bit of that was when he was dying. And what did Zira do in that moment? Did she hold him? Did she finally tell him she loves him? No. She turned to Kovu and slapped him, blaming him for Nuka's death.
Killed your own brother!
But Nuka didn't do it for Kovu's future, or because he wanted to kill Simba so badly. He did it to earn Zira's approval.
For you, Mother!
And then she just used his death as a tool to instill more hatred against Simba. But Nuka's story doesn't end here, because when the final battle took place, Kovu and Kiara explained they didn't have to fight. The Tani, with all the lionesses, switched sides. But Nuka never got that chance of redemption. He died before it came. And he never got to experience the good life others had when they joined Simba's pride. These two things make him one of the most genuinely tragic figures in the entire franchise. Not a villain in any meaningful sense. Unlike the other outsiders, his motivation had nothing to do with Scar's legacy, power, or revenge. He was just a neglected child who only wanted his mother to love him. Now that you know Nuka's story, let me know if you want me to make that video about Nuka's real parents, and I'll see you in the next one. Long live the king.